the founder and managing member of KRI Partners. He has more than 25 years of significant real estate, banking, private equity, and multifamily investing experience. Throughout his career, he's been involved in transactions. Now listen to this, valued at more than $2 billion, much of which has included the acquisition, management, and financing of various multifamily real estate projects. His firm has helped hundreds of investors reach their financial goals through real estate investing, and he's been one of Grant Cardone's Real Estate Club success stories. So with that, guys, I'm super pumped to introduce to our community Mr. Ken Yee.
Yeah. All I do is win, 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 no matter what. Got money on my mind, I can never get enough.
What's up, Ken, man? What's up? How are ya? Boom, boom, boom. We don't hear you yet, but we will in a second. He's just gonna sprinkle that excitement a little more.
There you go.
know?
Now we go.
There you
Yes,
are.
sir. There we go. Hey, Ken.
Let's
Man,
go.
After that intro, man, I got a lot to live up to. You guys are killing it here, man. I mean, just unbelievable. You said 7 months, and look at the things. Look at the number of people that know you and the things that you guys are doing. So it's really, really super impressive. And I'm hoping to make some really good contacts through this group, because I know some of you already, and some of you guys are killing it. So I'm humbled to be here. I am definitely humbled to be here. So, I'm not. Trevor asked me to come on. We met, and he didn't want me. I'm used to coming on and telling, talking about, a specific topic, but he asked me to just talk about my journey, which is hopefully going to be motivating for some of you, because, I've had a chance to talk to a lot of people on this call. And, I was in your shoes 25 or so years ago, and it was even tougher then to get started. So, what I'll do is I'll kind of tell my story. And then you got to make me a promise, though. You guys have got to ask me some questions, because listening to you talk for 45 solid minutes is good. We're gonna have trouble with that. So I much prefer to answer your questions than to just me rattle on. But anyway, let me tell you my story. Am I allowed to share my screen, guys?
You are. I just
100%.
Awesome. All right. So, you guys talked about, or just a few minutes ago, about the regular Joe concept, right?
Heck yeah.
Well, I've never shown this picture to anyone, so you guys are the first. This is the house that I grew up in for the first 25 years of my life. This little ranch house. And that little house right there, I mean, that house isn't even 800 square feet. My best friend lived in that house right there. See that little mud puddle right there? It's still there. Me and my buddies, this is a wacky story, but me and my friend, we loved boats, and we would buy these little toy boats, and every time it rained, that little mud puddle would get big. And I can't even believe it's still there, but we would drag our boats up and down this stupid mud puddle for hours and hours and hours. But anyway, so this is my beginning, right?
Ken, that was in Toledo, Ohio, it looks like, correct?
That is Toledo, Ohio. That's exactly right. Yep. So the house I grew up in, the street I grew up on, it didn't even have sidewalks. I mean, it was very, very humble beginnings, right? Just like most people in the world, right? So here's my point in telling you that. Now, my dad drove taxi cab. My mom stayed at home. She was the first person on her side of the family to ever get a degree, although she ended up staying home. But let me ask you this: with a father as a taxi cab driver and a mom that stayed home, do you think my Rolodex was very big? No chance.
No way.
I don't even know if I knew what a Rolodex was back then, right? It was really nothing to speak about. So I grew up in Toledo. I got my undergraduate from the University of Toledo. I didn't realize it at the time, but I was supposedly, according to some of my relatives, somebody special, because I actually finished college. I mean, it was just the most ridiculous thing. When we would get together at family events, a couple of my relatives would quiz me, and the younger kids would try to stump me because I was supposed to be smart. And of course I wasn't. I wasn't any smarter than they were. I just happened to have gotten a degree. So anyway, I got my undergraduate in finance. I moved to Cleveland and went to work for a bank. And I spent 5 years at that bank. It was at the time called National City Bank. It no longer exists. It used to be a fantastic bank till they decided to get into the subprime lending market. Bought a company out of Michigan that did a lot of subprime loans that took the whole entire bank down with it. It then got absorbed into PNC. But when I was working there, I got my graduate degree at night from Case Western Reserve. Probably never heard of it. It's just a small private school. At the time, the program was in the top 25 in the country. So I was massively stoked hold on, I gotta let somebody in. There we go. I was massively stoked to get in, and I got firsthand to see the difference between a University of Toledo degree and a Case Western Reserve degree. It was hugely different. Yes, sir.
And Mike, I want to ask really quick here, because as you know, and many, probably most of us know here, mindset and how our mindset evolves as we move from chapter to chapter in life, especially when it comes to real estate, how important that is. Could you just take a quick minute to just touch on that? What your mindset was, what your perspective was when you went to school, what you wanted to do after school, and kind of what you were thinking about life and how your career would unfold?
Yeah. So, so it's funny when I was getting my degree from Toledo, it actually took me 8 years to get that degree. And the reason it did is I had to put myself through school. I did that by driving Zamboni and running an ice rink in Toledo. You probably don't know too many people who know how to drive a Zamboni.
That's awesome, man.
Some of you don't even know what a Zamboni is. It's the machine that cleans and resurfaces the ice at ice rinks. So anyway, so what happened was, I for a while there, I was kind of slacking. I didn't, man, do I really need a degree? Does this really matter? And all of a sudden, I don't know, I woke up one day and I said, you know what? This isn't going anywhere. I don't want to be a Zamboni driver the rest of my life. So I said, all right, I got to bust this out. So the last 3 years of my undergrad, I actually went to school full time and I worked full time at the rink. And it was hard. It was very hard. There's no question about it. But something happened. All of a sudden, I started to realize, wait a minute, you can do what you want. You just have to go set your mind to it. So I got my undergrad. Then I thought, all right, I got a job at a bank and I moved to Cleveland. But I hated working at a bank. I just didn't like it, right? The first couple of years, you got to spend it in the retail side of the bank. And that sucked. I mean, I actually had a lady urinate at my desk as she was standing there, talking to me. Just the wackiest things happen when you deal with the public sometimes. So I said, all right, well.
Can you say urinate? Is that right? Did I hear that right? Urinated?
Yeah, she urinated. Yeah, she was an older lady and, was obviously had some problems and just stood there and just let it go. She was talking to me. And of course, the custodians came and cleaned it all up. But anyway, so I just said, I don't want to do this. I want to do something else. And what happened to me at the bank was I would hear my customers say, I don't know, let me check with my accountant. I don't know, let me check with my accountant. I said, God damn it, I want to be that guy that they check in with. So I said, all right, let's go be an accountant. I said, let's go figure that out. So see, now I'm what's happening, and you don't realize this is happening at the time, but all of a sudden you got a degree, you got a job in banking, then you decide you want to go be an accountant. So now you go get that degree. All of a sudden you realize, Jesus, I can do this. So then I went to work for Deloitte as a CPA, passed the CPA exam first time, blew my mind. It was the hardest damn exam I've ever taken in my life. It was very hard, but I passed it. Got to do a lot of really fun tax planning, merger and acquisition work. I helped numerous. If you know anything about Cleveland, you might have heard of Riverside, Key Equity Partners, Linsalata Partners. A lot of big PE firms came out of Cleveland, and we served them. And I got to work on their deals. I got to help them figure it out. I got to help them do the tax planning. I got to help them with DD. I got to understand how a private equity firm got structured, how they raised money, learned what a pledge fund was. I mean, it was just unbelievable how much I was learning while I was at Deloitte. It was when I was at Deloitte that I thought two things happened. One, because here this is happening again, right? I'm like, hey, you know what? Right down, if you don't know where downtown Cleveland, there's a small airport called Burke Lakefront Airport. And at that airport, I thought, you know what? This is cool. I would love to learn to fly someday. And I thought, wait a minute, they're just a few blocks away. What if I just went down there and checked it out? Well, as it turns out, I ended up getting my pilot's license on my lunch hour while I was working as a CPA at Deloitte. And of course, nobody at Deloitte knew I was doing this because I mean, what accountant decides to go be a pilot, on the sides? And so again, what's happening here, and the reason I'm going through this painstaking story with you is, if you know anything about being a pilot, you probably need good eyesight, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what you don't know is I'm blind in one eye, but yet I still figured out how to become a pilot. So what's happening to me is I decide I want to do something, I take action, I go do it, and I achieve it. I do it there as a banker, undergrad, banker, then Deloitte, got my graduate degree. Now here comes this pilot thing. And I thought, you know what else would be fun? It would be awesome to scuba dive. So I decided I was going to go do that. All of a sudden, now I can do that. You see, I'm just like, shit, whatever I try to do, I'm nobody special, guys. I'm not super athletic. I am nothing. Most of the people on this call, I'm sure, are far more athletic than I am and far more adaptable and physically enduring than I am. But again, here's another challenge I put in front of myself, and I went and I did it. So here's what happened when I was at Deloitte. This is where things really changed for me. So like you, Trevor, and your pictures of your kids. I mean, this really hit home for me, because what happened, my daughter was just born. Some of you have already heard the story, so I apologize for the redundancy here. But one night, it was about 3 o'clock in the morning. First of all, I did my daughter's nighttime feedings, and that was really cool for me because that was time I got to spend with her. It was just her and me, and everybody was sleeping. And so there was no way to get that. I couldn't interrupt that, right? That was awesome. I just love that time. If anybody has a daughter, a father on this call, you understand that bond. It's really cool.
Yep.
Well, all of a sudden I started thinking, man, wait a minute, this is 3 o'clock in the morning, and this is my time with my daughter. That's not cool. This at 3 o'clock in the morning is the best I can do, because I was working like a dog at Deloitte.
Mm-hmm.
Then I started thinking, I'm working like a dog, but I can't figure out how I'm going to get where I want to go financially. I can't imagine being able to put them through school without tons of debt. I can't even figure out how I'm going to do something to see my daughter that's not at 3 o'clock in the morning. Right? I don't want to miss their soccer games and baseball games and all that kind of stuff. So I said, all right, I got to figure this out. So I woke up the next day. I had already actually bought one apartment building, a very small one, that I thought was going to be my retirement someday. But I thought, you know what, I got to really get serious about this thing, because when I was at Deloitte, they also had a massive real estate practice, and all those clients were making a killing in real estate. We had
You saw their numbers, right, Ken?
We knew their numbers. I knew their
You saw the numbers on the page, like these guys are raking it in.
We're talking hundreds of millions of dollars. Yeah, I mean, just insane amounts of money. So but back then, you see, there wasn't much to learn. It was very hard to learn the business. This kind of stuff never existed. I bought a no down payment course by Carlton Sheets. Some of you older might know that name, but all he did was single families, but it got me thinking. And then I went to apartment association meetings. So now I'm going down this path. You see what's happening here? Now I'm repeating the process that I did when I became a pilot and all this other stuff. I said, all right, I'm just going to keep just inching my way toward my goal. And over the couple of years, I bought total of 3 apartment buildings. And 3 years after I bought the first one, I sold all 3. And I put $500,000 in the bank. And I thought, holy, wow, this is like, are you kidding me? Like I just made more on the side than I probably made up until that time, all the time I was at Deloitte. I'm like,
so Ken, let's camp out right here a little bit. So first of all, how did real estate come on your radar originally? Because you said, it was a hobby move, so to speak. You bought a small apartment complex, but where did even, the concept of purchasing real estate come into play originally for you?
Yeah, I watched Carlton's infomercials about 100 times before I bought his thing, number one. Number two, Deloitte had a massive real estate tax practice. I mean, we're talking Developers Diversified, Zaremba, Dick Jacobs. I mean, any of the who's who of real estate really started in Cleveland. They were all our clients. I'm doing their tax returns. I know what kind of money they're making. And I'm like, man, I got to do this. How could I not do this, right? There's no reason I can't do it. What I really liked about real estate is I could do it anywhere I wanted. At the time, it was too early to really expand beyond Cleveland for me, but I just knew that this was something I could do no matter what. Now, continue the story a little bit. I ended up buying the Cessna Pilot Center where I learned to fly. We grew it right before 9/11. That was a lot of fun. We grew it to 3 locations, taught me how to run a decentralized business that needed lots of systems and processes and checklists and all that stuff, right? Hugely valuable to me today because that's what real estate is, a massive decentralized business, right? So I learned, I mean, when the FAA is watching everything you're doing, man, you're going to get it right. So we ended up making a deal with the Delta Connection System. We were actually training commercial pilots, sold it 3 years later, did okay. I did that kind of on the side while I was also doing the real estate thing. So now what happened I don't remember exactly when this was, what I met. One of the people that I met at the apartment association meetings, he spoke, because remember, that was the only way to learn. So you had to go to courses that were offered by them. This guy spoke, he was a local attorney. And just like you guys are doing on this call, he and I decided to go to lunch. He talked about his goals. I talked about my goals. We liked each other. We hit it off. His balance sheet was a million times better than mine. I said, you know what? We should do stuff together. And he said, yeah, he liked to find operators that would run the operation side, and he would be the financial, he wasn't all the equity, but he didn't have to do any of the work, and we split the profits 50-50. He loved that scenario. He got rich off of that scenario with me and a couple of other guys. So he and I partnered together, bought a number of deals in the Cleveland market. Actually, I probably syndicated my first deal or two with him. He's now retired and moved on. His son's now in the business. We still have one deal together. But again, what happened was he helped me get from the little baby deals to start moving up. And that was really important. I needed that. I needed 2 things. One, I needed someone that had done deals before and had some experience. And 2, I needed somebody with a balance sheet that could help me get loans, and he could do that all day long. So these relationships that you're talking about here, guys, you have no idea how important they are, because
that's right.
I tell people, they ask me all the time, what 3 things do they need to do to get started? Number 1, you got to learn. Number 2, you got to be willing to do the work. And number 3, you got to go find people with experience to do it with. I did exactly that, and that's what I see a lot of people on this call doing.
That's right. So that's right. Proximity is power. So when you say baby deals, what's a baby deal when you say that?
Well, back then, it was 30 units, 28 units. Those were, small deals. They were less than a couple million. If anybody's interested, I can hold on. I can give you an idea what the early deals look like. Let me just hold on a second here. We actually, now that we're in the business of raising money, we brought in Veravest to vet our entire track record. And you're welcome to see this. You're welcome to go to Veravest site. You can take a look at an entire track record. But these are all the deals that we've done over the years. You'll see the company was very different back, all the stuff what I did in Cleveland. You'll see Ludlow Gables was in Cleveland, Southmore. And this is the very first building I bought right here for a whopping $575,000.
All right.
That's a baby deal, right? Now we put 5 times that down. So all these deals are deals that we have done. Anything I did in Cleveland, I did with him. And then about 15 years ago, I said, man, we're doing okay here in Cleveland. I went in his office. I said, you know what? We're doing well here. What if we actually went to a place where people actually wanted to live? And he said, well, what are you talking about? I said, well, I'm going to go to Florida. He said, you are? I said, yeah. He said, okay. So I literally got on an airplane, flew to Tampa, and then just started the process. Just like you guys are doing right now. You guys are talking about your broker calls, all that stuff. I had to do that because if you think about Florida, there's a lot of people with a lot of money in Florida, right? And I'm just a little baby guy, but I had to somehow figure out how to get the broker community to take me seriously, to actually let me look at deals, figure out where I should buy, where I shouldn't buy, and learn a whole new way to underwrite. Because in Cleveland, if you didn't steal it on the way in, you were never going to make money. And in Florida, you ain't stealing nothing. All right. Nothing gets stolen in Florida. Okay. So 15 years ago, I started that process. And I don't remember when we bought the first deal. It's in that Veravest track record if you're interested. But we syndicated a deal. It was Coachman Club Apartments. In fact, hold on. Do you mind if I share another?
Share away, Ken. No problem.
I thought this would, I'm trying to give you a little feel. What I hope to do here with some of this is give you motivation to make you realize that you just got to bust it out. Just do it. So this is the first deal. This is the first deal I did. You can see everything, right?
Yeah.
Sure can.
Coachman Club. Hold on. There's a bunch of stuff in my way here. I got to make some room here. There we go. All right, there we go. So Coachman Club, at the time I bought it, we bought it for about a little under 6 million. Sold it 2.5 years later for 8.2 million, and made a ton of money. Our investors' annual ROI. Now it really helps when your first Florida syndication returns 30% annual return, right?
Yeah, it does.
People start talking. They're like, man, because that's what wealthy people do. They talk to their buddies at the country club, and they're like, man, I just got in this deal, and I just made, I put in 100, I got back 175 3 years later. Unbelievable, right? Then we did another deal. These are all syndicated deals. Bell Reef Club in Jacksonville. We bought it for about 7.5, sold it 3.5 years later for a little over 13. That annual ROI. Now, this is investor level ROI, is like 22%. This is a picture of the pool. It did not look like this when we bought it. Put in an outdoor kitchen. You can see that outdoor kitchen there. All new pool furniture. It was just a dynamite project. I really loved it. If you put in 100, you got back 177. And these are the last 3 full cycle deals that we did. That's why I'm showing them to you. Whispering Oaks. Again, these are not massive projects, right? We're talking about 100 units. We're talking about 75 units. Whispering Oaks townhome style community in Orange City. Bought it for just under 5. Sold it 2 years and 1 month later for $8 million. And they had a 36% annual return.
Man. And Ken, I love that you bring this up, that you say full cycle deal, right? Because there's a lot of attention in the market and a lot of people talking about their deals, but there isn't actually that many people out there that have went full cycle on numerous deals. Because when we talk full cycle, we talk about 5, 7, heck, even 10 or more years, right? Depending on the deal. Some of yours might be even less depending on the strategy, right? But going full cycle is not something that happens overnight.
No, you're right. It takes time. See what happens when you do that, when you go full cycle, nobody can argue with you. Did you make money? You gave me money. I did my thing. I sold it. I gave you back a whole bunch of money. I did it. I'm super thrilled to have done it. And I have to tell you, I say this all the time. In the beginning, it was all about me and money, money, money. There is nothing that's cooler than we had an investor who called me. He's one of my testimonials. If you click on my thing and you see one of our testimonials, he's a former NFL Super Bowl referee, right? Top dog, right? He calls me and he says, Ken, I think you made a mistake. I'm like, what do you mean? He says, you sent me all my money back. And then like 3 or 4 weeks later, because we had to close out the books, he said, you sent me a big check again. He's like, man, Ken, I don't feel good about this. He goes, I think you made a mistake, man. I said, Tom, I didn't make a mistake, man. I'm so excited to tell you that's your profit. He's like, oh my God, are you kidding me?
Wow.
Are you kidding me? So what happens if you're the person that writes that check is the most rewarding. Just people just think, I just did something really, really special for somebody. I just had an investor text me a really long text message. He was on a cruise. He flew first class to Europe, went on this 10 or 14-day European cruise in one of the suites, and then went to all these cool shows. Guess what he did? He called it his Whispering Oaks cruise. It was the money of Whispering Oaks. That, right? Spend your passive money. Be stupid about your passive money, right? You've heard somebody say that before.
Yeah.
And that's what they're doing. So anyway, so
it's the beauty
right.
though. Ken, you're right. It's the beauty is it's about the people, really, right? And I feel like this is also, and I know a lot of people in this call will notice this, because this is really what we also want to activate in our community, is that it's for everybody, right? This you don't do this just for you as an individual, you know. It's all about the people, you know. And I tell you, when we hear stories on a much smaller, 100x less than what you just told us, right? But if we even hear, hey man, I'm so thankful because of this community, I was able to submit my first LOI and I felt confident about it. Mm-hmm. That feeling alone, you know, propels us even to just keep moving forward so strong, and it's the best ever.
Yeah, no, you have to, because, you know, it's really hard. It's kind of uncomfortable for me to talk about my own personal wins, but what I've learned is, first of all, there's nothing special about what I do. Nothing special about me. I'm no different than anybody on this call. But if I'm able to do thing after thing after thing after thing, right? I shouldn't. I'm blind to one eye. I shouldn't be allowed to fly an airplane, but I did, and I passed the test, and I even got the privilege of flying with an FAA medical examiner just to make sure that I could do it, right? See, there's so many things that you can do, but what happens is you're going to get me going on this, but we can't get out of our own way. We can't get out of our own way. We can't imagine owning a 100-unit apartment building. You're like, dude, I don't, that doesn't even compute for me, right? Well, it can. You just have to take the steps to get there. And like I did with learning to fly, like I did with learning to scuba dive, like I did with figuring out how to be a CPA and a banker, it's just baby steps, right? And, you know, like many of you, I came back from GrowthCon a couple of weeks ago. I don't know if you were there, but the message that every single one of those guys, I mean, that was a star-studded lineup. I don't know if you know who was there, but I mean, it was nuts.
Yeah, it was.
Kathy Wood and Herjavec, and I mean, it was just mind-blowing. But every single one of them said, here's the interesting thing. When you're in the middle of that journey, it doesn't feel, look, smell, taste, like anything special. It's not. And it wasn't for them either. See, all we get to see is Robert Herjavec, the billionaire on Shark Tank. Kathy Wood, the owner of ARK Investment, very successful, right? We only get to see, well, I won't even call it the finished product, but we'll call it the finished product, okay? We get to see them after the journey. They're still on a journey, right? That's kind of what I want people to take away from this call, because you said this is activation Zoom, right? This is get up, let's get motivated, let's go. What I'm trying to tell you is you got to just do it. And the number one thing is just know that's a little bit at a time. Get out of your way. Stop thinking that you can't do it. Just do one thing at a time. And look, you're going to make mistakes early on. Just find as many smart people as you can that with experience, and surround yourself and listen to what they say, because they'll try to keep you out of trouble. I mean, I talk to people every day, and I know I turn people's deals down, and I know they get frustrated with me, but you know, I've just been around, so I've seen, I mean, look, if you can figure out how to make money in Cleveland in real estate, you can figure it out anywhere, right? I mean, let's be serious here, right? It's not exactly an easy market. So I see a lot, and what I want is to keep you out of trouble, because I've always believed that we protect the downside, the upside is going to take care of itself.
Right. It's consistent action, right, Ken? It's being consistent. I always like to say, and you know, Trevor knows the saying of me, but I'm not always the biggest fan of calling it massive action, because massive action, you need to define what is massive action. Is completely different for everyone and their situation in life that they are in, right? But what's important is to do it consistently. Whatever the level of action it is, it needs to be consistent. It doesn't matter if you go all in for 2 weeks and then you crash and you go to zero, you know, that doesn't get you anywhere. But it's that consistent level of action. And like you said, it's also being around the right people, getting into rooms and building your network. Because if you are around people that chase the same goal, you get like this tunnel vision also, that's where you all head together. And I can tell you, myself, I wouldn't been able to move forward and take down a deal if it wasn't for Victor and Trevor. No absolute freaking way. Absolutely no chance. If it was on my own, there was numerous times, where I would have said, I don't know, it's too hard. Can I really do it? Am I good enough? Too big for me. But because you have these people around you, you keep moving forward. And there's one thing that somebody said in our circles that said, I'm going from 10% scared and 90% excited to 90% scared and 10% excited in a matter of seconds. And that's where you need these guys around you, to keep you moving forward.
Yeah, you're exactly right. Now, one of the things, Trevor, let me just keep the story going here, because I'm not a real estate club promoter, but you had talked about, me being one of the real estate club success stories.
Yeah.
And, it's funny because one of their sales guys, all you got to do is ask for anything, get on their list or something, and you're going to get the phone calls, that, right? So
That's right.
Nick Tremblay was the guy, and he said, Ken, I'm telling you got to go there. I said, Nick, come on, man. I've been in real estate for 21 or 22 or whatever, 3 years. I said, I don't want to appear arrogant, but like, seriously, you want me to come and learn the basics of real estate? I'm like, all right, okay, I'll come, right? This is just ridiculous when you think about how this evolved. So I get in this room and I start listening. You start listening to a guy like Grant, who's a billionaire, clearly a much bigger thinker than I am. And I started thinking, here's what I thought I was going to do. I thought I was going to go there, hop in and out of the conference and go do some work in the lobby. I didn't do a damn thing except listen for 3 straight days. And what happened to me was I started realizing, you know what, I'm in my way again. I'm in my own way again. Even though I know not to do it, I'm doing it, and I don't even realize I'm doing it. So what happened was I had just started to raise our first blind pool fund. So, we had done syndications, but it's hard to get a deal in Florida when you're one of 20 syndicators standing there trying to get the deal. So I said, all right, I'm going to take a lesson out of my private equity experience. I'm going to go raise the money first, and then we're going to go get the deals. So I was raising money, and I think I had, at that point, we were close to 10 or 12 million, something like that. So I had this deal in Tallahassee, and I know Tallahassee kind of, but I didn't really know it. So I joined the club. First of all, I joined the club because I thought, okay, there's a lot of smart people here. I'm sure I can learn something. Join the club. First call, I get on and I'm like, I pitched this deal, this Tallahassee deal, because now I have a fund behind me and I have nobody above me to validate. I have no validation mechanism. I thought, well, this club might serve a good purpose for me. So I get on the call, I pitch a deal, and sure enough, Andres, everybody knows Andres. He spent 5 years in Tallahassee, knows Tallahassee like the back of his hand, knew the property. He's like, oh my God, this is an amazing neighborhood. You've got to get this deal. We then we did the deal. It's performed wonderfully. But here's what happened after that. Yeah, it was huge. Because why? Because I did exactly what I'm telling everybody else to do. I found someone with experience that knew something I didn't know and worked with them to figure it out, right? That's huge. So now, as I continued to hear the messages, I continued to grow my mind. I'm getting more and more out of my own way. And I said, you know what, Ken, this is ridiculous. The only reason you're not 10 times bigger than you are today is because you just have gotten in your own way again. So I said, all right, we're going to blow this up. So I'm happy to report now in the last 2 years, we've probably raised, now we're up to about $42 million in the last 2 years. The biggest deal we did was $42 million. We did it with a joint venture with a couple of guys. One guy's a former managing director at Goldman Sachs. The other guy's a former managing director and chief credit officer at Blackstone. Like, how the hell do you get better partners than that? I don't know how you do it.
Right.
Okay. All from connections and just, getting out of my own way. And so now we're in the middle of raising money for our second fund. We're just shy of the $10 million. So we're about ready to go find deals. We're trying to find deals like everybody else. And, interest rates are kind of killing us right now. But here's the point. That's the success story. The success story for me in that club was reminding me to get out of my own way and to think bigger. It's no different than any person on this call. They got to get out of their own way, think a little bit bigger than they are today. And if you just keep doing it, next thing you know, you'll have, you know, a $42 million deal under your belt where you're basically a 50% partner in that deal. Think about that. Like it's not 56 people in the GP pool. It's me and 2 other guys.
Yeah.
That's it.
And the crazy part that I want to let people know that are on this call right now, you are legitimately only one connection away from the people that Ken was just telling about, you know? And this is how crazy it is if you are just going into the right surroundings, right? People think like, oh, Blackstone, big guy, shot, whatever, multi-billionaire, whatever, so far away, see him on TV at best, you know, whatever. But no, like Ken is here right now, you know, has direct access, you know, you have direct access to Ken right now. So technically you legitimately just one handshake away. And this is what people, this was really something that for us, right, Trevor, made click when we came, like, and went to like conferences and stuff like that. And this is how we're able to bring people like you actually also can to this call, to this Sunday activation Zoom, you know, I mean, it starts with legitimately just be in the right rooms, be one connection away, make one intro, whatever it is, and notice that these people are also just people, right?
Yeah, well, it's my hope. I really came here because it was my hope that if I share a little bit of my story, it helps somebody take that next step, right? Because I'm here to tell you, once you do it, once you get you got to get your first deal, and your first deal cannot lose money. You must not screw up your first deal. Take the time, take your time, do the work, really beat up the underwriting. Really, everybody that hears me talk knows what I'm about to say next. Make sure you understand your rental market, you understand your competition. Don't let anybody convince you that real estate is a high-level game and you can play it at 50,000 feet, okay? Like a lot of you hear Grant say that. Grant has a whole entire team of people. They have spreadsheets that would embarrass my spreadsheets, okay? They're in the weeds. He just personally isn't. So make sure that you do that work, because when you do that work and you sit in front of an investor who knows that you've really never done this before, they have to at least feel like you've really beat it up well and you've really done your homework. Because if not, they're not going to give you their money. They're just not going to. So you'll be able to confidently sit in front of them. And I will tell you, the more you know, the more confident you'll be. And you're not going to be totally confident, right? I've helped, I'm sure many people on this call will know that I've partnered with people, got them started in this business. And it's the most incredible feeling I didn't understand how good it would make me feel to help them get started and change their life. But as soon as they get that first deal, and the deals we're doing together are wildly successful, they have now the confidence to go do deal number 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and so on. So, all right, we got some questions. Anybody have questions? I don't see any hands. Kind of bummed.
Do we want to flip? Ken, do you have to, in the path of your story right now, before we flip to Q&A, anything else that you want to share from your story before we flip it over?
Well, I mean, I could go on for hours.
I know.
I don't want to do that, but you know, here's what's the takeaway here is, you know, we're working on our second fund. We're rolling out some educational products. You'll hear more about those soon. They're not ready to be released yet, but you know, I'm the detail guy, right? Everybody that talks to me knows that I'm in the weeds and the details and all that kind of stuff. And that's where I think the wins come, right? And that's how I want to present the information that I have to people. So yeah, that's what's next for us. And you know, I would encourage anybody, if there's anything I can do to help you guys, you just got to let me know. Let me know what it is. I'll do anything I can. It's getting harder and harder for me to do a lot of one-on-one stuff. It just is, because my phone and I can't even keep up with email anymore. That's my own fault. It's a wonderful problem to have. All I ask is that you be patient with me, because it takes me a minute to get caught up.
And we made sure Caleb has been throwing there we go again.
Yeah,
all your links.
Yeah.
So I hope you should have at least 70 or however many more Instagram followers. Guys, make sure KRI Partners that you follow that on Instagram. Same with the Facebook page, YouTube, LinkedIn, everything that Ken was just sharing. All the info is right there. So make sure you're on there.
Yeah, so the QR code, I just realized I have the virtual background up with the QR code. That's to our fund. That gets you into our system, and that'll take you to a page where I have the fund webinar. It's just me explaining everything. What else is there? Our track record is there, the Verivest track record I showed you. A bunch of testimonials. There's a really cool video, the Jacksonville turnaround story. Remember the Bell Reeve deal that I showed you? I did a 20-minute video where I narrated before and after, why'd we do it, how'd we do it. The pictures are remarkable. And when I showed up at that property with my daughter to buy it, to look at it, she's like, Dad, you can't be serious. You're gonna buy this? I'm like, oh, you better believe I'm gonna buy it. And so you'll see what she saw in that YouTube video is just, she was like, wow. And now I showed her the after pictures, and then she kind of got it. But what else is there? I think that's it, but that'll give you a good feel for what we do, how we do it, and hopefully that's helpful for everybody.
And if people are still not sold on that yet, Ken, which I hope they are and they should, I tell them you should do it then, because that's how you should do it in the future. That's a good indication of how you should do it in the future, because I can tell you we are on numerous lists. Obviously we're interested to see what people have to offer, but we are so interested in their processes, in the way they provide information, the frequency of communication, just to see. Everyone is always asking, well, how are you going to do it? How do you do it? Tell me how to do it. Well, it's so simple. Just essentially be a customer, so to speak, right? Be a client, be a participant, and see how it's done. It's so simple.
Yeah, it's true. It is simple, but you know what? Remember, I had a CPA and lending background. I did not have a marketing background before. So I hired a really, really, really strong marketing team. They used to work for Tony Robbins and Chet Holmes. I don't know if you know who they are. There's some pretty amazing people, but they have taught me so much about marketing, and you'll see how they're presenting. It's really remarkable, some of the work that they've done. So I'm really proud of it. You can opt out of the email if you don't want to keep getting our emails, but we're trying to put out a lot of YouTube content. I'm thrilled to tell you that YouTube is really an important thing for people in this business. You can learn to be a brain surgeon on YouTube if you want to. And hopefully a lot of people are learning a lot about real estate from going to our YouTube channel. I will tell you that some of the shorts that we've had, we've gotten 700, 800, 900 views on them, which just blew my mind, because 2 years ago I would have laughed at you if you'd have told me that. I would have. See, again, here's what's happening.
Yeah.
You see the cycle, you see what's happening?
Proving
right?
your
I'm in
point.
the middle of it now, and I just realized, shit, it's happening again. It's happening again. And we're gonna really blow this thing up. So it'll be a lot of fun.
Love it. Let's flip it, right, Trevor? Shall we flip it?
Flip it, bro.
We have already numerous hands up. We always try to cut to the end at 10 p.m. right? So I think we got some good questions going here. Let's jump right in, right? Who's first in line, Trevor?
Chris Russell looks like it is. I threw my hand up. I'm somewhere in line, so wherever I fall in, just let me know. But looks like Mr. Chris Russell is up to the plate right now.
Hey, Chris.
Let's bring Chris up on stage. What's up, brother?
Sir. Oh, he's muted still.
Whoop. Let's bring him back. Here you are.
Hello, can you hear me?
Hey there.
Yes,
How's it
sir.
going, Chris?
Hey, Ken, I'm doing well. How you doing?
Pretty good.
Nice. Had a question. I hope it doesn't come off, selfish or anything, but I'm in Gabe. Yeah, I'm in Gabe's bowling deal room. That's kind of where I first met you. So a couple weeks ago I had lunch with Bo Beery.
Oh yeah,
You
Bo.
familiar
Yeah, I
with
know
this?
Bo. Yep.
Yeah.
He's in central northern Florida kind of guy.
Yes, sir.
Yep.
Yes, sir. Yeah, I'm in Gainesville, Florida. So that's kind of like my main market. Yeah, he's awesome, man. I had lunch with him and we had a blast. So my question is, So when I had lunch, it kind of was like, I kind of left with the thought that he thought that I was like, not serious, or like I was playing the game too small. So I felt like he wouldn't like really take me too serious as far as like sending me deals. So my question is, would you be okay with me kind of using your name to say, hey, yeah, I know Ken, you can actually, send me some of the big deals that you come across, and if you would be willing to like maybe partner up with me.
Yeah. So there's a few questions there. So number one,
Yeah.
Here's what brokers do when they throw my name around or anybody else's. They call me and they say, "Are you working with this guy? What's going on? Blah blah blah." And they recognize name dropping. So I want you to be super careful about that. It's not that I mind. It's what I don't want it to do is hurt you, because here's what brokers are doing the moment they meet you. They're trying to figure out what bucket to put you in. Are you the guy that's the Goldman Sachs guy? Are you the institutional guy? Are you the middle? Are you the $20 to $40 million deal guy? Are you just starting out? Here's what, it's hard to fake it if you're just starting out. And I would encourage you, remember, your reputation is all you got. And once you get into a bucket, it is really hard to get out. So and the fourth bucket I didn't talk about is, this guy is kind of a bullshitter, right? You don't want to be in that bucket, because when you're in that bucket, they won't return your calls. They will ignore you. That's just what's going to happen. And it's because, I think I'm busy. When deals are flowing, dude, these guys got so many phone calls, they don't even know whether they're coming or going, right? They really do. Yeah. So they'll pick and choose who it is. Now, what's happening to you is what happened to me when I got off that plane in Tampa and I looked around. There was nobody there. There was a guy named Casey Babb. He worked for a small brokerage firm. He was kind enough to give me the time of day because he didn't have anything going on. And so he took me around, showed me the deals, and then, trip after trip. I was this is a funny story. I just got to tell you the story. I was trying to figure out how to get these people to take me seriously. So I thought, all right, ready for this? Some of you have probably heard the story. I got 5 or 6 deals. I want to go there and back in a day. So I hired a driver. So it cost me like $500 or $600. So I get picked up, and I didn't realize it was going to be this over the top. Black SUV, chauffeur driver dude. He gets out, opens my back door, lets me in. We drive to the first property. He gets out. Opens the door. The broker's there. His mouse hit the floor. He's like, "Holy shit! Who is this guy?"
Yeah.
Right? It was Jag Richa, is a broker. He's with Capstone. To this day, he and I still laugh about that story. He actually is from Cleveland. He said, "Ken, when I saw you, I was like, holy shit, this guy is the real deal." Okay. So at the time, that's a lot of money, $500 or $600 to drive me around. But every broker I met with that day, all of a sudden they're like, "Man, this guy's serious." Now, I'm not suggesting you need to do that, but what you got to do is figure out how to get them to take you seriously. So what I think you need to do is just say, get on their email list, go after deals that are reasonable for you to maybe get, right? Maybe you and a couple of guys, maybe you can do a $5 million deal or a $10 million deal and go tour those deals. Just get on their schedule and tour them and be very respectful of their time. I would say, "Hey man, can we schedule this when I know you're already going to be there? Because I want to make sure that I don't inconvenience you." He's like, "Dude, nobody ever thinks of me." He's like, "Nobody cares about the broker. This guy actually is treating me with respect." Right? All of a sudden, now you're starting to build a reputation with them. So I show up and I talk to them, and I'm looking at deals that are possible for me. And then they start asking you questions. Well, I got a couple of guys I could partner with, right? They'll believe a $5 or $10 million deal. If you've never done a deal and you're looking at a $50 million deal, they are not going to believe you. It's just not going to happen. So that's what I think you should do, and just get there and tour them, and you'll get to know them. And then you'll start underwriting them, and then you'll start asking them real questions, because you're hopefully going to dive into the underwriting and really figure it out, and then ask them real legitimate questions. Because now what are they doing? Wow, this dude's really working. This guy is serious business. He's not just a tire kicker. And see, what's happening now is you're building your reputation, right? That's what I did. I even went so far early on when they would say, hey, this is, 12 million. I'd be like, man, I don't understand how you get there, right? I'm sure you're right, I would say to him, but I'm new at this. Can I show you my numbers and tell me what I'm doing wrong? You know what always happened? I wasn't wrong. They just knew they found a bigger sucker, right? So what happened was, now they're like, damn, this dude is doing his homework and he's actually right. You see what's happening? I just keep building little bit at a time. You're building that reputation. So that's what I want you to do, because it's going to serve you well. Okay. And then if you have a deal that you think pencils out and you've really done underwriting, do you want me to look at it with you? I will. I mean, Gabe is not shy about his story, right?
Yeah,
That's right. Hey, Ken, by the way, I spoke with Gabe 2 days ago for probably 45 minutes. And when we somehow ended up talking about the Zoom, I said that you're coming on, and man, he went on a 3-minute, like, Ken is amazing, the best guy ever. We've done deals, and it's because of him. I was able also to do this and that.
That makes me feel so good, man.
I mean, it fired me up too. And I mean, wow. And yeah, I'm excited. Gabe is awesome. We're super excited also to get something going. Maybe bring him on here as well. He had nothing but the best to say about you.
Well, that makes me feel good to hear that. Thank you. And Chris, if you're with Gabe and he has you have a question that you can't answer, he'll call me.
Yeah. Okay.
He's a super guy. I like him. That's why I sized him up. I liked him. I knew he would do. We're partners, and that's why. He's just a stand-up guy. So I have the same very positive things to say. Did that help you? I don't know. Did I cover all your questions, Chris? I don't want to leave.
Yeah, you did. You did. Thank you, Ken. I really appreciate it.
You bet.
And I want to ask everybody, because just this answer, Ken, I think must have definitely helped a bunch of people in this call. So guys, if you just got value, just that one nugget from Ken just now, that one story, if you got some value here, let's actually show some appreciation here for Ken and throw some fires in the chat. Whatever emojis you guys want to use, to showcase.
I gotta figure out how to make that little fire thing. I like those.
We like the fires too, for sure.
I like them a lot. There
you go, Ken.
Ooh, trophies now. Thanks, Christina. I like those.
Go. Gas stations. All right, let's keep moving. Let's get to the Hawk.
Mr. Hawk, how are you?
Hey, Ken, how you doing,
Hawk,
man?
that's what they called you, huh?
Hey, now you know, Ken.
Now I know.
Yeah. So no, I gotta just commend you, Ken, man. I mean, I was one of the fortunate individuals to get a one-on-one with you, and I just gotta also commend you for just your story and the inspiration. I think I want to expand on that a little bit. So what would you? There's a lot of new multifamily investors on here, and a lot of them struggle with how to get activated, how to take that first step, how to really make progress in this industry. So what would you recommend, like how to start? There's 3 buckets: acquisition, operations, capital stack. A lot of get confused because those can get, very confusing. It can be overwhelming. But what would you recommend for that?
Well, the same thing I say to everybody that wants to get started. Number one, you got to learn as much as you can. And that means you got to really dive in, right? I did it. It took me a year and a half to get my first deal after I really committed to learning. Second thing you got to do is you got to do the work, right? If you only knew, I love that cigar, man. If you only knew how many people bring me deals and their version of underwriting is the broker's offering memorandum. And that's really hard for me because I know it's filled with garbage. I mean, some of it is, some of it isn't, there's a lot going on there. And you got to do that work because you just have to. You have to, because how else are you going to learn, right? Nobody's going to hand it to you. And then the third thing is find someone with some experience and do that first deal. Remember, that's what I did. My first deal I did with my in-laws. Second deal and third deal I did on my own. But then when I really started, I found that attorney. He had experience. People knew who he was. He actually did evictions for a living and made a boatload of money doing it. But everybody in the industry knew who he was. So it was Ken and Gary. They're like, oh yeah, we know Gary. We don't know who the hell Ken is, but we don't care. We know Gary, right? So he pulled me up with them, And when he was ready to retire, I didn't, thankfully I didn't need him anymore. So those are the three things I want people to do. I get a little bit concerned when we have partner groups that you're doing X, you're doing Y, you're doing Z, and it's like this defragmented thing, right? That, I don't know, that's hard, right? I think if you're going to be in this business, you got to kind of know a little bit about all of it, because if you're the one underwriting, if you're the one talking to investors, but you didn't do the underwriting, those investors are going to make you look silly, because they're going to ask you real questions, and you can't bullshit them. You've got to tell them, you've got to know. And how are you going to know? You're going to know if you did the work. See how I see it all kind of flows together. And that's why, my first investor webinar, man, I was scared to death. And then after, now obviously I when I do a deal, if I'm going to do a deal, I know it cold. I know it inside and out. I know everything about it. You can ask me anything you want. You're not going to stress me out anymore, right? Because I took the time to learn. So that's what I want you. That's what I want people to do. You just got to find people just a little bit of experience to help you get started, right? The Gabes of the world. I'm happy to partner with somebody, but I just got to have somebody that will help me do the work. Because if I got to do all the work, well, then I might as well just do the deal. You know what I mean? And I want to help people. I want to help them get started. It's just really hard to find people that want to roll up their sleeves like I did and do now. I don't know why. I don't know why. It blows my mind, because it's there for the taking.
And two big things, Ken, you nuggets you drop before I get off. One is, I know that you have a very meticulous, right, process for evaluating deals, which have made you super successful, right, in your journey, right? So I have to, drop that, because a lot of folks don't take the time to really go through and analyze markets, analyze deals. I went through your training, so great.
Good. You went through it.
Absolutely. And we talked about that. Yeah.
Yep.
And, also, you got to partner with someone more experienced than you, right? Because the thing is, a lot of people think that, we're trying to, it's like a Ponzi scheme. You're trying to bring folks in to fund deals. No, the more people you have, the more partners you build up, the more success you'll have collectively, right? And I think that's the beauty behind this multifamily real estate, is that it's a team sport. And the thing is, the funds you have, and I know that they're, experiencing great returns. So just want to drop that just for everyone on the call.
Thank you.
You're amazing. And Ken, I really value you as a partner and a friend.
Well, thank you, man. Thank you. That means a lot. Let's do a deal, man. Let's get it.
Let's do a deal. Let's do a deal. I got a cigar for you when we close it.
All right. All right. I like that. A Will Smith, Fat Lady Sing cigar, right? Remember that movie?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Independence Day. It was Independence Day.
Yeah. I got a Cuban for you.
Please.
Absolutely.
No. Thank you, brother. All right, we got Raki Zidane. That's a very very famous name there, brother.
That's right, man. He's my uncle. Nah, I just tell people that. How are you guys? Mr. Ken, how you doing? Thank you so much for a great introduction and great presentation. I do believe in life is a testimony. What is that? It's a story. If you're a good storyteller, if you're a skilled communicator, I think this business is easy for you, right? However, you do need the right people in a place, because you can't, everybody talk, you can't climb the ladder with people holding your hand. I'm so against that. That's if you work a W-2 job, and there's nothing wrong with it, because I still have my W-2. I'm a certified aviation technician. I work in airplanes. I can't strip down an airplane and put it back together. However, I'm also a very seasoned a real estate investor here in the Atlanta market. I'm all over Georgia. I own multiple properties in different cities. I do own multifamily residential up to 4 units. However, it has its ups and downs, like when stepping into commercial real estate, right? It's almost similar to like having a private money lender on a single family home. Like, they won't give you everything if you don't have a repetition, right? So you have to go through hard money lenders, build a repetition, show them that you closed and you flipped, or you own a couple of houses. So it's something with commercial real estate, right? So I kind of got creative a little bit. It's not hurting me as much, but it's really good, but I'm not making any money. However, the way I structured it is, I got a really good deal, but nobody wanted to partner up because I was very new to the business. Everybody knew me in the single family resident, but nobody knew me in the commercial field, right? So what I did is I started offering 60-40. They didn't like it. I gave them 70. They were like, I don't know about that. I gave them 80-20. They didn't like it. So I told the syndicator that come in, the only one that wanted to actually speak with me. And thing about me, I'm very honest. I operate with integrity and honesty. So I told them, I was like, look, this is my first big deal. So what I did is I give them 100% of the income. But what they did is they funded the whole deal, right? So I didn't have to come anything out of my pocket. But the way I structured it, I told them, okay, you get 100% of the income after everything is deducted, right? So what's deduction? Reserve, maintenance, vacancy, property manager, because we have property manager, because I don't want to get no calls. But those that sits in the bank account, technically it's my money, however, unless I end up using them, right? But I don't want to touch those. Now, which brings me to the question, right? I'm not the guy to always ask, let me pick your brain, because I hate that word. I think it's how can we bring value to you and to your team, as well as like we learn as we go. That's my question. And how can we pretty much work together?
Yeah. So what we've come up with is the business model where you're in Atlanta, right?
Correct.
Yeah. So I'm a little stressed about Atlanta because it's so flat and it just keeps growing and expanding and expanding. I tried to be there once. If you can show me how to make money in Atlanta, and so we want to grow outside of our primary markets. We know that we need good partners to do that, and we're looking for good partners to do that. So what do I need from somebody outside our normal area? Is I need them to be on the ground. I need them to do the underwriting, to really learn how we would look at things so that we can have a good synergistic partnership, right? Because I don't want to fly to every city on the planet. I need somebody on the ground to help me manage it and help make sure that everything's happening that needs to happen. So that's how we partner, right? Because what's in it for me, I get a deal maybe in Atlanta. What's in it for you? Well, you might get an experienced partner that'll help you get the loan and help you get things done. See, it's something in there for both of us. And then we together figure out how we're going to get the various parts of the job done. But I need somebody on the ground.
Right. Strongly agree. Yeah, I'm totally open to that. And Mr. Peter here is a very great friend of mine. We work together on single family. Eddie Charger is a friend of mine, and we both are local here. I don't have problems putting the work. I have my own quote literally around the house. It says, sleep faster, you can sleep when you're rich. Really. Yeah, that's me. Like, and that's how I am. Like, I never like, it's not like, I don't want to put it in a negative way where don't sleep and affect your body, but sleep faster right now until like, you get everything out of the way. And I don't doing the work doesn't really matter. Again, out there, I have a whole checklist. I have everything really needed for multifamily, except for, like I said, how can you work with someone? That's it. That's the only obstacle. I think everyone can agree. That's majority of the time. It's the main obstacle. The deals are.
See, that's exactly why we're developing that program that I told you about. I spent the entire day on it today because everybody needs to figure that out. When they do, I feel like the floodgates open for them.
Right, 100%. Yeah, I strongly agree because I think the deals are out there. They're actually leads. You just got to be converted to deals, and I think you have to be a good negotiator. If not, I mean, that's a skill you can really build throughout the time. But I just wanted to touch base on that one and see how we can work together. And is this the information I think Caleb put in the chat is the best information to like kind of see everybody? Okay, perfect.
Yeah, scan that QR code. That's another way you can even get to book a call right on my calendar.
I'm sorry, say that again.
That QR code. Scan the QR code in my background.
Okay, perfect.
Because it'll actually lead you to my Calendly, and you can book a call.
Okay, sounds great. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, brother. Of course. Appreciate it. All right, let's do Ken. Are we okay for one more maybe, and then?
Yeah, we'll do as much as you want, man. I'm cool. I don't want to.
Now you open the floodgates.
I want to try to answer it, man.
We've done this. I tell you,
I'll shorten my answers. I promise. Let's try to do a lightning round.
Ken, we had Rod Khalif on here, and he said the same thing.
Yeah, and he was here till 12:30 in the morning.
yeah, the 25 minutes is okay, man. Well, now I'm tired.
Yeah.
All right. Let's guys. Let's be quick.
It's up to you. It's your deal, man. You do what you.
No, here's how we do it. How we do it. We're gonna have one question. Everyone is gonna be able to ask the question, and then we mute again. You get the answer. We hop on to the next one. So we do it a speed question.
The lightning round.
Lightning
in the
round.
words of
BB.
Jim Cramer, it's a lightning round.
Exactly. What's up, BB?
Hi, everyone. Thanks, Ken, for your presentation. My name is Bibi. Just like everyone has said, I just don't want to repeat what they said, but I just want to ask, what are your criteria for partnering with someone? Because I'm currently an operator, but I've only had a single partner in terms of funds, but we're trying to scale right now. So I know everything about syndication apart from raising funds. So we currently have a deal under contract, which is very fantastic. Good returns. It's actually 41% returns. I'm very, very conservative in my underwriting. I went there to see the property myself last week, and it panned out well and everything. So I really want to know what your criteria are.
Yeah, send me your underwriting and let me look at it. If it's an awesome deal, where'd you say you're at? You're in Dallas? She's in Dallas. Yeah, just send me your underwriting. And let's get on a call. Oh, I think you're muted too, Marcel.
Marcel,
Okay.
you're muted, man. Or your audio's not working.
My bad. I said yes.
There you go.
BB is in Dallas.
Yes, I want to be in
definitely.
Dallas. I'd love to be in Dallas. Send me your underwriting and let's send me the OM and let me I'll take a quick look at it, send it to Max and let's see what Max says about it. He's my financial guy.
Cool.
And
Let's go.
I got to look at the deal. But yeah, that's what you can do.
All
Can we
right.
have
Be
John?
fast.
John, exactly. John, what's up? Another Dallas brother.
Dallas, I see that.
Ken, hey, thanks for coming out talking to us. It's always an honor to hear you talk.
Well, thank you.
Two-part question. How do we keep our eyes on the prize, especially for us who like to trip ourselves up? And once we get into the abyss, how do we bring ourselves back?
How do you stop from getting frustrated and not feeling like you can get it done? Is that what you mean?
Yes.
Okay, well, I'll tell you what I do. Don't laugh. There was a channel on DirecTV called AWE, and I go watch guys with airplanes and yachts and everything else, and I'm like, damn, that needs to be me. Okay, I find somebody that's more successful than me, and I just keep pounding their message into my brain and realize, dude, they are no better than I am. There is no reason that they can do something that I can't do, none whatsoever. And I just convince myself of that, and then I go. That's the real honest truth. Find something that motivates you, whatever it is. My kids were a huge motivator from early on. I wanted to go to basketball games, go to football games, go to soccer games. I didn't want to miss them, and I wanted them to go to school at good schools without having the burden of massive amount of debt. Right? That's a huge motivator for me. So there you go.
Boom.
Let's move to Josh. Quick ones, 10-second questions. Boom.
Yes. In the words of Pete Vargas, and my question is.
There you go. Exactly.
That's right.
What's up, Josh?
Hey, really quick, I really appreciate the question that he just asked. My question is similar, and it's that, was there ever a time where you were afraid and ultimately discouraged and had to bounce back? And how did you do it?
Yeah, so I bought 3 flight schools, then 9/11 happened. Whew, I didn't fly airplanes for a month. That was a pretty big kick in the teeth. Fair? You agree? You just got to figure out how you're going to get through it. I did. That's what you do. That first deal that I bought, I had a golf ball in my throat. It felt like I did. It was stress. Never felt that way ever again in my life. But you just got to push through it. And what I said to him is, you got to find out what motivates you. I don't know what it is for you. I know what it was for me. It was my family, my kids, just the thought of having a much better life, right? You know? And
this is where the people around you help, right? The people around you help that can keep you moving forward.
They do, but what's the challenge is, the people that are around you now are probably not the people that are going to take you to where you're trying to go. And that's a really hard thing for people.
Mm.
That's hard because you got to go find people that are smarter, faster, more successful than you are. You just have to. You have to stop being the biggest guy in the room, and you got to go somewhere where you're the smallest guy in the room. And when you're the smallest guy in the room, you're like, shit, I gotta. Now you really feel silly, and now you're gonna press.
Yeah.
Because now you're starting to be a little competitive.
That's
Does that
right.
help you,
Yeah,
Josh?
they say that you are the average of the 5 people that you spend the most time with, right?
There
So
you
you
go,
gotta
Victor.
you gotta spend time with people that are doing bigger things than you for you
Yep.
to move forward.
If you want to know where you're going, just look around you. That's where you're going.
That's it. Look at Ken. Keep looking at Ken. All right, Deidre, real quick, 10 seconds.
Your question is?
Your question is.
Oh, hi guys, sorry. And I did not want my camera on. Who did that? Hey guys. So, Ken, you mentioned something about, oh gosh, about name dropping and making sure that you're kind of doing it the right way. And if we're ever to do that, we should call the person whose name we're name dropping. And the reason why I brought this up is because I know somebody who name drops, and the people who I work with at a firm, they thought, oh wow, she's just a bullshitter.
That's
So
right.
I mean,
right.
I just didn't want to be like her, and I'm glad you mentioned that. So if I were ever to use somebody's name and call them, like what would the
Make sure it's legit. Just make sure it's legit, Deidre. That's all.
absolutely.
I can legitimately tell you I'm partners with a Goldman Sachs and a Blackstone chief credit officer. I can say that. But if I'm not, then I can't say that. Just make sure whatever you say is legit. Find the biggest name that you can drop and drop it, but make sure it's legit. That's how I would do it.
Right. Just be genuine. Love it.
I
All
hope
right.
that-
Let's have Billionaire Pete. 2 more, and then we're
Yeah. Well, you forgot about Trevor, but he must have gave up.
I did. I threw in the towel. No problem.
Yes, sir, Mr. St. Martin.
St. Martin. What's up, Pete?
Yes, sir. I'm almost back in my office, but I'm outside. It's completely dark. Anyway, Ken, the biggest thing I wanted to know is what is your buy box exactly?
What's my buy box? What kind of deals do I like to buy?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so we do value add in good neighborhoods, good properties that we can add value to through management and physical improvements. Usually we need to at least be neutral leverage, and we usually need about $300 in upside in rents. And in terms of size deal, it depends on, it just depends. I mean, so far we've done 42 million.
Straightforward, right? That's awesome. I love how you just have to answer that question in 6 seconds. That's how you should be able to answer that question, right? All
Yeah,
right,
we're pretty well defined. We know what we want. We know what we're good at.
All right, we got Say
G.
Hey, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yep, we can.
Okay, so I'm very new to this world. I just met some guys about a week and a half ago, and I didn't even know this kind of stuff was possible. I was looking at small multifamily 2 to 4 units.
Yeah.
So my question is, so I have no experience. I don't know anything about this world, but my question is, like, for the first deal, like, do you have like some guidelines of how ownership is structured? I know every deal's different.
Yeah.
There's a lot of variables, but
I
don't know, just general guidelines.
Yeah, here's my advice. You do whatever you got to do to get your first deal. If you do it for free, you do it for free.
That's right.
As soon as you got your first deal, life changes. I'm just telling you, that's what I would say. Right. And all you need is your first deal. You're not going to get rich on your first deal anyway. It's not going to, I mean, yeah, eventually it'll make you money, but you got to get your first deal. Now, if you can negotiate something out of the person, great. But just know that if they take you along for the ride, man, that's gold. I'm just telling you, it's gold. It's gold, because that ride is going to expose you to things you don't even know you don't know. You don't even know you don't know this stuff. No, God, that's what really happened. I'm just being honest.
That's great.
So
You
true.
do whatever you got to do to get that first deal, my friend.
Now we go to our last question here. Last
Yeah.
question of the night, Ken. And I wanted to give Jonathan the chance here because I know he's awesome. So let's go, brother.
Hey, I appreciate it. Trevor, Marcel, Victor,
Hey, bro.
Kenji, I appreciate you letting us come on tonight. It's actually Vanessa has a question for us.
Hi.
Hi.
Ken, I was just wondering how long it took for you to feel confident in finding the deals and then just like talking to brokers, talking to investors. Was it like after maybe a few deals or?
Yeah. Good question. In Cleveland, it started off, it was probably my second or third deal. We didn't raise money until we'd already been in the business for more than 10 years. So you think about that for a minute, right? I didn't ask you to give me money until I already felt like I had pretty good clue what I was doing. I'd already had multiple full cycle deals. Now, how long did it take me then to get comfortable talking to investors? It took me probably the first deal and the second deal, I started to get more comfortable. Because it's kind of scary knowing that you're going to jump on this call and you have no idea what they're going to ask you. No clue whatsoever. And it's stressful, especially if you don't know what you're doing yet. But now, obviously, we're very comfortable. So I'd say second deal with investors. But remember, we'd already had 10 deals under our belt by then. We'd been successful, you know, we had done a lot. So it takes a lot for me to be confident because I'm very bad at bullshitting. I'm really bad at lying to people. I'm not good at it. So if I don't know it, it makes me nervous. And I'll just tell you, I don't have a clue. So just learn as much as you can, as fast as you can. You're never going to know it all. I don't know it all, right? You'll probably find a question somewhere that'll stump me and I'll just tell you, I don't know. I'm gonna get back to you. And I'm comfortable saying that now. I hope that helped.
I think you helped a whole lot tonight, Ken.
I hope so. I hope so. I hope some people are moving forward. Remember,
no doubt. That's what we do on the activation Zoom. I think you got people activated tonight, Ken.
Well, that's the name of the game, right? We got to
Yes, sir.
You got to do it.
Yes, sir.
Don't just talk about it.
Love it. Well, Ken, thank you so much for joining tonight. Really, I hope you guys appreciated the time Ken was spending here with us. 17 minutes over. I don't know if we ever went 17 minutes over. Maybe
really?
I don't know. Usually we're pretty strict on it, to be honest with you.
Yeah, well, thank you. I appreciate you letting me go on. I really do.
No, I mean,
well, I can't thank you enough for letting me come on your platform here. You guys are doing some really cool stuff. I couldn't be more impressed. Just keep it going and just keep it going, man. Keep it going because you're going to change a lot.
Keep the train rolling. All right. Appreciate you, Ken. If anybody wants to throw some more fires for Ken in the chat, throw them now so he sees them, and then we're gonna bring in the closing bells here.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ken.